turn off the lights, close your curtains, and listen carefully. Tonight, we descend into a city the world thinks it understands, but in truth, it never has. New Orleans. Not the city of jazz clubs and whiskey-soaked nights. Not the postcard city of Mardi Gras masks and painted ghosts. Not the fantasy sold through souvenir shops and plastic voodoo dolls. Tonight, on Myth of the Blood Moon, we strip the mask away, because New Orleans is not haunted by spirits. It is haunted by history. Before we continue, if you are drawn to forbidden truths, forgotten shadows, and stories that bleed through time, subscribe to Myth of the Blood Moon and leave a like. It helps these stories reach those who are ready to see what others fear to face. Now, let us begin. The city that should not exist. In 1718, French colonists chose to build a city in a place that resisted human life. A swamp, below sea level, surrounded by water, poisoned by malaria and yellow fever. They chose it for one reason only: profit. Commerce over safety. Trade over survival. Money over human life. And death answered. In the summer of 1853, yellow fever killed over 8,000 people in a single season. More than 5% of the city. The ground was too wet to hold coffins. The dead rose back to the surface. So the city learned a terrible adaptation. The dead would live above the living. Thus were born the cities of the dead, endless stone tombs stacked like houses for the afterlife. In New Orleans, death is never hidden. You walk beside it. You breathe beside it. You grow up knowing it watches. Slavery and the Blood Foundation. New Orleans was also one of the largest slave ports in North America. Between 1719 and 1860, hundreds of thousands of enslaved Africans passed through its markets. Children sold from parents. Families shattered for profit. Human beings priced like cattle. And yet, inside this horror, something survived. The enslaved carried with them their gods, their memory, their rituals. From this emerged Louisiana Voodoo, not the Hollywood monster version, but a real spiritual system born from survival, ancestral spirits, healing rituals, protection, love, justice. European culture twisted it into demonic magic to justify slavery. But the truth is darker. They feared it because they could not control it. They call her the Voodoo Queen. They scratch X marks into her tomb. They whisper that she grants wishes. They turned her into a supernatural legend. But the real Marie Laveau was far more dangerous to the system than any witch. She was born free. She worked as a hairdresser inside the homes of the rich and powerful. She heard secrets, scandals, crime, fear. Knowledge became her real magic. Historical records show she was a healer, a spiritual guide, a master of influence. People of every class came to her, not because she raised the dead, but because she understood the living. After her death in 1881, tourism devoured her memory. Her tomb was vandalized. Her legacy turned into a marketable ghost. The myth killed the woman. At 1140 Royal Street, a fire changed everything. In 1834, rescuers broke into the mansion of Madame LaLaurie. What they found inside was not legend. It was documented horror. Enslaved people locked in chains, bodies broken, torture hidden behind elegance. Even a slave-owning society was shocked. The woman escaped. The victims were never truly remembered. Today, the house is sold as a haunted attraction. But the real horror was never supernatural. It was human. St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. Tombs stacked like building. Bone vaults behind sealed stone. Bodies recycled through time, not by ritual, but by heat and decay. This is not mysticism. It is geology. The ground rejected burial, so the city adapted. Even in death, New Orleans learned to survive its own curse. Yet today, tourists mark tombs with lipstick and graffiti, chasing supernatural fantasies while ignoring the real meaning of what surrounds them. And then, there is the funeral. Not quiet, not hidden, not silent. The jazz funeral, a slow march in sorrow. Then, the rhythm shifts. Trumpets rise. Drums speak. Feet dance. Grief becomes rebellion. Loss becomes movement. This tradition was born from slavery, survival, and the refusal to let death steal joy. When the world says, die quietly, New Orleans answers with music. August 29, 2005. Hurricane Katrina did not just break the city. It exposed it. Levees failed, not by nature, but by neglect. Evacuation failed, not by fate, but by policy. At least 1,833 people died. Mostly poor, mostly black, mostly abandoned. And within months, Their deaths were turned into ghost stories, not memorials, not justice, but entertainment. This is the real haunting of New Orleans, when tragedy becomes a product. New Orleans is not America's most haunted city. It is America's most misunderstood city. Its spirits are not monsters. They are ancestors, victims, survivors, memory. Its magic is not illusion. It is resilience. Its darkness is not fantasy. It is documented. And its greatest curse is this, that the world would rather buy the lie than face the truth. If you are still listening, you are already walking the edge between myth and memory. New Orleans does not ask to be feared. It demands to be remembered correctly. This is Myth of the Blood Moon, where legends bleed into truth. If this story awakens something in you, subscribe, leave a like, and share this with someone who still believes ghosts are more frightening than history, because the dead are never silent. We just stop listening.